time your legs shake, I be taking mental note. Girl, my tongue gon' be the pen, just put it where you want. I'm gon' start off with a day so perfect. Time I get down to that age, I'ma turn it. Oh, and I gonna put this deal on you all night.
All night, yeah.
And you gon' be like, hey, hey, why you make me come so soon?
Oh, that's the jam right there. That is a jam. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mack Lessons Radio Show. My name is Denzel Sausageton for all you ladies out there. But other people know me as Mr. Tariq King Flex Nasheed, also known as Tariq Elite, also known as TN. And if you didn't know what TN stand for, that stands for that nigga all day, every day. Welcome to the show. Today's show is brought to you by headhuntersgear.com. Go ahead and step your gear game up and get busy hustling or get busy dying. That's headhuntersgear.com. Get t-shirts and other fashion accessories. Remember, get busy hustling or get busy dying. Check out headhuntersgear.com. And also, today's show is brought to you by globalblacksingles.com. If you want to get your international Mac on all across the world, go to globalblacksingles.com, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, if you want to get that conscious game, be black, white, whoever you are, whatever your nationality, check out Hidden Colors at hiddenColorsFilm.com. No bootleg, people. Do not buy bootleg copies of Hidden Colors. If you see a dusty nigga on the street selling Hidden Colors, say, I rebuke you, nigga. And do not buy that cheap-ass DVD from them. Either get it from Amazon.com or get it from HiddenColorsFilm.com. And speaking of Hidden Colors, I like to shout out everybody who went to see Hidden Colors at the theater a couple of days ago in London. They had a sold-out showing of Hidden Colors in London. Shout out to the Black Cinema Club for sponsoring all of that. They had the brother Umar out there, and it was a sold-out showing. I heard they had to turn away a couple of hundred people. And I saw the pictures. The people over there just absolutely beautiful. They supported the film. They loved the film. And I'm so grateful for that. And I cannot wait until everybody sees Hidden Colors 2. We're working very hard on that right now as we speak. Let me put on some Mack music while I'm talking. That's the new Jay Holiday cut right there, by the way. All right. Let me put on some Mack music so I can chop up and flow from the Survivor Scrolls. But like I said, shout out to everybody over in London who saw Hidden Colors and supported it. The people loved it over there, and Hidden Colors 2 is coming. And I got to get over there and chop up game with everybody. So I got to keep that on the agenda. I still want to get over to Chicago. Shout out to everybody in Chicago. I still want to get out there and chop up some hot fire with everybody. We're still looking for a venue, and when I'm done with the edits for Hidden Colors 2, I'm going to try to get on out there to Chicago, and that will be one of my few lectures I will do this year, because I'm going to be focused on promoting all these movies and stuff. And check out The Eugenist at theeugenist.com. That's my horror film. And you know what's funny about that? About the Eugenist, my horror film is about a school that gets contaminated with the virus and the students get sick. That same exact thing actually happened at a school in Miami yesterday. I think the name of the high school was MacArthur High School down in a suburb of Miami, and there was some kind of outbreak or some kind of radiation. There was something. They had to call in the hazmat team and people with suits on and goggles and shit to go into a high school, because kids went into one of the classrooms and they broke out in hives, and kids at the school got sick. And that's crazy, because that's the exact plot line of this movie. So again, a lot of this stuff can actually happen. Now, zombies and shit, that's some extra stuff, but that's not even too far-fetched, because again, down in Miami, there's another case of this brother, this naked dude was eating another fucking dude. eating his face, eating his skin. And this was down in Miami. It sounds crazy. Google that. Naked man eating another man's face down in Miami. It was all on the news down there. And it was a brother, which was shocking right there. That's not a crime that brothers do. But what happened is they said that the guy had some kind of drug, and the drug made him go nuts, and he started eating the motherfucker's face. So what the hell is going on down there in Miami? We need to keep an eye on Miami, because they might be doing some kind of experiments on people down there, and all types of stuff is breaking out and breaking off out there. So we got to keep our eye on Miami and see what's popping down there. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be off next week. I will not do the show next week. I'm going to be off working very hard on Hidden Colors 2. So enjoy this show, because it's going to last for the next couple of weeks. And this will give you a chance to check out all of the archive shows for all you new listeners who haven't heard all the other 339 shows that I've done. And also, this will give you an opportunity to check out the pay-per-view specials for all the people who keep up on the up-to-date shows. If you want to check out the pay-per-view specials, go to MackLessons.com. Mack Lessons is different from Mack Lessons Radio. Go to MackLessons.com, and you can listen to all of the pay-per-view specials if you have not heard them. And those shows are absolutely excellent. You guys will love the pay-per-view special shows. You feel me? And also, everybody, check out KingFlexEntertainment.com. That website has all the film projects and the book projects that I have popping. KingFlexEntertainment.com, and all of that good stuff right there. Today's show, what I'm going to talk about is shame in your game. And I'm going to get into that a little later, but let me cover some of the topics that's been happening in the news before I get deep into the game. Speaking of Hidden Colors, if you saw Hidden Colors, I talked about an organization called the Melungeons. Not an organization, but a group of people called the Melungeons. And a lot of people had no idea who the Melungeons were until Hidden Colors. A lot of people didn't even know who they were until Hidden Colors came out. And the Melungeons, they were a group of people of African descent who lived in the United States for many hundreds of years. And they've been here for a long time. And they are some kind of a mysterious race of people, but not really. They're basically people of African descent. And what happened is that there was a DNA test done on some of the Melungeon people, and many of them now have blended in with other whites. So a lot of them don't look like the original Melungeons used to look. And they live around the Appalachian Mountains, and a lot of them are like kind of redneck, hillbilly-ish. And oral tradition, they were saying that they were Portuguese and Arab, and their background was a mystery to a lot of people who just didn't know history. But they did DNA testing on these people, and the story came out a couple of days ago, and you guys can Google this. But they did the DNA testing, and they proved that these people are of African descent. They're African descent, and the people actually got mad. These white folks who found out they have African ancestry, they got pissed off, and they wanted to do the test over and over again, and they were just confused and upset. And that's some funny shit to me. That's some funny shit. Because a lot of these people, they live in those little racist redneck spots, and to find out that these people, black folks that you've been taught to hate all your life, you got a Negro in the family damn tree. That tickles my damn fancy when I hear shit like that. It really does for some reason. I know it might be cruel, but the thing is, a lot of whites out there have some type of African ancestry. If we want to get real deep, and I've been doing a lot of studying for Hidden Colors too, and I'm like, shit, there's a lot of white folks with African ancestry. I'm like doing research about the Irish and the Scottish, and we all know what's up with the Spanish and the Italians, but it goes very deep. But again, we're going to cover a lot of that stuff in Hidden Colors too, but I thought that was a very interesting and funny story about the Melungeons And you guys, if you haven't heard the story or had any information about the Melungeons, go to hiddencolorsfilm.com and get the film Hidden Colors. Shout out to the Justin Bieber camp. Did y'all hear the story about Justin Bieber supposed to beat? He supposedly beat up the paparazzi. This was a story going on a couple of days ago all over the internet, and they had pictures of Justin Bieber and his girlfriend. Justin is running out of his van, running up on this paparazzi dude, and there are no pictures of him actually touching him, but it looked like Justin Bieber kind of roughed the dude up. And the thing is, this shit is so staged, it's ridiculous. And people, I'm saying this so people can understand and learn how to peep game. When your third eye of game is open, you can see game and hustle from a mile away. And this whole Justin Bieber beat up the paparazzi thing is 100% game, hustle, the whole 9 yards. It's a scam. It's so staged, it's set up, because the thing is with Justin Bieber, first of all, Justin Bieber whooping somebody's ass, that should be cause for investigation right there. But with Justin Bieber, what they're trying to do, they're trying to get rid of that kitty teeny bop image. Because the thing is, that kitty teeny bop image will fuck your career up when you get older. You understand? If you don't never get rid of that teeny bop image, it's hard to shake when you get older. Just like back in the day, they had this group called Donnie and Marie. For those who are old enough to remember. And they was real corny. They were Mormons, and they sing these corny ass songs. And when Donnie got older, the white guy, they would try to wipe off that clean cut, cookie cutter image. It just really didn't work. People didn't buy it. So with Justin, what Justin is doing, he's hanging around rappers. He's hanging around Floyd Mayweather. He's really trying to butch up and gangster up his image, hanging out with 50 Cent. You know, trying to rap. He was trying to rhyme at the BET Awards one time, and he's really trying to get that street cred so he can wipe off the kitty connotation, the kitty vibe. And this whole thing where he's beating up the paparazzi, that is the most staged thing ever. So again, bravo to Justin Bieber. Great acting job. But let that dude live. It is what it is. One more thing I want to mention. That story out here in Long Beach, there's a brother who was accused of rape about 10 years ago by this hood rat. And the brother ended up going to jail for 6 years. And what happened was the female contacted him on Facebook. And, you know, she admitted that she wanted to meet up with him and all that. So what he did, he met up with her, but he had a secret recording going on. And she basically confessed and said that she lied and he didn't rape her and the whole nine. And the brother used that information to clear his name. And the brother had a very promising football career, and I really feel bad for the brother. And if we can support that guy, find out some information about him, and let's support this brother and help him get back on his feet. We need to start doing that for brothers who get caught up in the penal system. Did I say penal? Is it penal or penal? The penal system. All the cats I used to know back in the day, they would say, man, I'm getting caught up in that penal. So that's where I get the voice inflection for that. But the penal system, that's what I meant. But we got to support brothers who get caught up in the game and get caught up in the system unjustly. We need to create a situation where we can support these brothers who get caught up in the system and brothers who get up out of jail. We're going to talk about that in Hidden Colors too, by the way. But again, the whole point is this brother got caught up by this hood rat. And this is why we got to stay away from hood rats. That's why I'm so anti-hood rat. Shout out to the homie, The Dark Hater. He has a video on YouTube talking about die, hood rat, die. He did a great piece on that, and you guys should check that out on YouTube. But fellas, the hood rat game is dead. Nigga, the hood rat game is a losing battle. That's a downhill struggle right there, nigga. That's just, you just gonna fall off fucking with hood rats. I wish all brothers just wake up and say, you know what? The easy ass is just not worth it. Dealing with these hood rats at this point, man, is almost suicidal. So brothers gonna have to wake up and leave these good for nothing, ain't gonna be nothing ass broads alone. This chick who accused the brother Brian, I think Brian Banks, that's his name, the chick who accused him of rape, what they did, her and her mom, they turned around and sued the school because the alleged rape happened in school. Well, not even the alleged rape, the non-existent rape happened in school, and they sued the school for like $1.5 million. So they had a whole agenda. So we got to stop rocking with these old dusty, thirsty ass broads out here with an agenda. Because I don't think anything will happen to this girl for setting this brother up and fucking up his life. These hood rats are government funded. Y'all have to understand this. This is why they can pop out kids and accuse niggas of being the daddy who ain't the daddy, because they have diplomatic immunity. Hood rats are government funded. They're very dangerous to deal with. And again, all black women ain't no hood rats. This is not a black woman thing at all, because that's another thing I want brothers to stop doing with the whole black woman bashing. But sisters are going to have to start distancing themselves from these damn rats so you don't get caught up in the shrapnel of hood radishness that these women exude. But goddammit, I digress. Now let's get into some game. And I'm in a real Mackish mood. Y'all hear my voice? My voice is real mellow and Mackish right now. I'm in a very Mackish mood. I got the Mackish jam going on in the back. Now let's chop it up on some player shit. Now, again, today's theme, I'm talking about shame in your game and how not to have shame in your game. Because, see, there's a lot of you players out here who deal with females, and these females end up making you feel, or you allow yourself to feel inadequate based on negative interactions you've had with some of these females out here. And I want you guys to shake that whole vibe. There's a lot of dudes out here who have a lot of shame and anger from dealing with these women out here. And this is something that you're going to have to deal with. You can't have that kind of energy in the dating game. So fellas, you got to understand the difference between being embarrassed and being ashamed. Especially when it comes to dating and relationships. Because a lot of dudes out here are ashamed, and then that shame turns into anger, and they become very passive aggressive when they date, or they do things to purposely hurt other people because of the self-shame that they have. And that's not good energy to have, players. That's not good player energy. Players, your energy is right. This is what draws women into you, to be a thorough player. You got to have the right energy. You got to have the right spirit. You got to have the right magnetism, because your game and your energy is your magnetism, and magnets attract and draw in certain things. So you always got to get your energy right. And if you're having any kind of problems, you need to get to the root of the problem. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to get to the root of shame and embarrassment. Now, like I said, there is a difference between being embarrassed and being ashamed. Now, embarrassment is really based on, it's a social thing. And ain't nothing wrong with being embarrassed, because for the most part, embarrassment is temporary. You know, embarrassment is really based on how you think other people perceive you. So embarrassment is really an external thing to a certain degree. But shame is a little different. Shame usually carries a connotation of guilt. And when you have that connotation of guilt, you start saying to yourself, well, I'm not good enough. I should have known better than to step to a female like this. I did something wrong. That's what shame is about. And a lot of people misdiagnose what they have and put shame on top of it. And the thing is, we got to stop feeling ashamed about certain things, really, that we haven't done wrong. Shame is really about something that you've done wrong, or something that you feel you've done wrong. And that's something that we need to stop internalizing, feeling guilty, because shame and guilt sometimes go hand in hand. But the thing is, sometimes people feel guilty about things that they didn't even do. A lot of people might have had something done to them as a child. They might have had some kind of abuse done to them, and then they have the guilt of that. And you didn't do anything wrong. You feel guilty based on the actions other people have done. And I'm not trying to get too deep or too heavy with that. I'm just using an extreme example. But a lot of times in the dating game, when a female disses a dude, guys, you get dissed, or ladies, you get dissed by a guy. That nigga might be going through something, dudes, that lady might be going through something, but you internalize it and you feel like you've done something wrong to deserve to be dissed. And then you start feeling ashamed, and that's definitely the wrong mentality to have. You never, ever, ever have that kind of mentality. You don't internalize any kind of shame based on the way another person treats you. I remember back in the day, I was a teenager. In my broke days, I was a very broke dude. But I always kept my mouthpiece crisp. I always try to keep my game tight. And I would always keep my standards high. And I'm in LA. I come out to LA. I'm a young dude. My money ain't right. I don't have a car yet. I'm riding with my homies. I might take the bus every now and then. And the bus services in LA is not the business. I'm walking wherever I need to go. You know, it's just real raggedy. My shit was real raggedy. Now, I finally end up getting a car. I got a car, and it was a Ford Escort. Now, this was in the late 80s, early 90s, so I'm rocking. I had an 88 Ford Escort. Just imagine how that looks for just 1 second. A 1988 Ford Escort. Just imagine how that looks. Now, in my mind, I'm rolling a fucking Bentley. Because at least I'm rolling. So I'm good. But when I think back on it, I'm like, it was a pretty raggedy ass car. Now that I have a lot of nice things in present day. But back then, you couldn't have told me shit. My Ford Escort was the best thing to ever happen to me. I mean, this shit was basic as hell. It didn't even have a trunk. That shit had a hatchback. Like, if you put some shit in the back, you can see it through the window. It was like real small and raggedy. It didn't have a radio. It was a factory car. This shit didn't even come with a radio. It's like the people at the Ford company said, you know what? Fuck this. Let's just throw something together and just throw it on out there. So it is what it is. But hey, that Ford Escort got me from point A to point B. It was good on gas. I love that car, nigga. I can ride from LA to Oakland on $2 or something. If the gas mileage was great, so I'm doing me. So I'm rolling around my Ford Escort. I'm spitting, doing my thing. Sometimes I would get dissed for my car. LA, you can meet a lot of very superficial women out here. And there are a few times I did get dissed for my ride. Because remember, around 89, 90, around the time, this is when I had my ride. This is when the dope game was real heavy. This was the drug kingpin heyday. This is when niggas was rolling, not Bentleys, but Cadillacs and Mercedes and BMWs and Maximas and all that stuff. So cats were rolling back then. There was a lot of competition. So you got to compete with a nigga rolling in a Jaguar and you pull up in a Ford Escort, a two-door with a hatchback. Your mouthpiece better be in order to even compete with that. So that I wasn't threatened by that. But the thing is, again, I would get dissed every now and then, but I didn't trip on it. And in one time in particular, I got dissed real bad. I got dissed by proxy. I got a diss message from one of my homies. My friend, he was a rapper, my dude MC Crispy, that's his name. He had a photo shoot, and I went down to the photo shoot, and he had a couple of females posing for the photo shoot. And it was some females that he kind of knew around the way. I think one female that he might have worked with or whatever, because this was before the whole urban model thing. There was no such thing as an urban model. Niggas would just get a couple of fly females who worked at a regular job who wanted to pose for pictures and do whatever. So my dude had some females down to the photo shoot, and there was one chick that I was very interested in. I wanted to holler at her because she had a gang of body. Now this chick, I can't remember her name, but she was about a 7, but her body made her an 8.5. It was one of those type of chicks. Because I can't think of her name, but I remember her face. And the face was about a 7, but that body elevated the hell out of her because her body was banging. Banging body. Little caramel broad. Nice little thickness to her. Little apple ass sticking out. It was real nice. I got to holler at her. So I told my dude Chris, I said, Crispy, let me, give me some information about her. Like, yeah, she stays in Culver City. She works here, got a little job there. She was just a cool little round-the-way chick. Gave me the rundown, so I introduced myself to her, chop-up game with her. My boy Chris introduced me to her, by the way. So we chop up game, we exchange numbers. I get her number. And, I call her up. I say, hey, let's meet up for lunch. Let's kick it or whatever, go on a date. So a few days later, we go on a date. I think we go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles because that was my go-to spot for a long time in LA. I would take girls to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles because the food was cheap. You get 2 orders of the number 9, cost about $10-15. So it was real cheap date. So, we meet up at this spot. She pulls up in her ride. I think she has like a Nissan Century. I can't think of the name. It was like a Nissan something. Sentra, some shit like that. And I pull up in my raggedy ass Ford Escort. So she seems a little uncomfortable during the quote unquote date, but she's very cordial. We talk, make small talk, nothing major. I'm just kind of feeling her out. We chop up game. We enjoy our food. After the meal, she goes to her car, go to my car. She says, okay, I'll see you later. I'll call you tomorrow. We'll try to hook up again. I said, okay, cool. Let's do this. I'm feeling you, whoop-de-whoop. And I'm trying to hit, I'm trying to get up in that. So I haven't heard from this girl. I'm waiting on her to call me. I haven't heard from her. About a week goes by. She never called back. I'm like, okay, damn, what happened? So I see my dude Chris, who knows her, and I see Chris. I'm like, hey, what's going on, Chris? What's up with old girl? I haven't heard from her, man. I'm trying to get at that. And this nigga started kind of low-key giggling. My nigga, what the fuck you giggling about? What's so funny, nigga? He's like, man, I can look at him and tell that he's feeling kind of bad to kind of, he don't want to hurt my feelings, but it's still funny to him. He's laughing. He's like, man, old girl said she ain't even trying to fuck with you, Flex. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man, she ain't even trying to fuck with you, man. She said your car was just too raggedy, dude. And that hurts more than ever. Not only did she diss me, she dissed me to another motherfucker. You dig what I'm saying? Now I'm getting dissed all up in the streets. The streets all up in my business now. I done got dissed and the homie had to break it to me. So now I feel like a dickhead. I feel like a real asshole. I'm feeling bad. I'm really embarrassed. Niggas laughing at me in the streets now. That's not a good look. But the thing is, you know what? I felt very embarrassed, but I didn't feel ashamed. I wasn't ashamed because I'm like, shit, I didn't do anything wrong. This broad is just one of those superficial broads, and not even in a bad way. I didn't even look at her negatively. Now, she didn't have to tell motherfuckers all my business, like, I ain't trying to fuck with him because his car is raggedy. She could have been like, he's cool, but things just didn't work out. But she specifically said, I ain't fucking with this nigga because his car is raggedy. He's rolling a Ford Escort. And I could understand that. Some women, you want a dude who's kind of doing a little better than they are. That's understandable. I'm not a hater. I respect that. If that's what you're looking for, I respect that. I'm just not that nigga right now. I'm new to the game. I'm getting out here, getting my feet wet, trying to get it together. But again, I did not feel any kind of shame. I did not let that stop me from going out there getting the dimes that I felt I deserved. Because again, when I didn't have a car, I would still get dimes. And I'm going to still, in my mind at the time, I'm going to get women who are 8s and above. I always keep my standards 8 and above. On a one night stand, I might fuck with a 6 or 7, just on a one night stand. But on some real dating, you got to keep it 8 and above, or whatever standard fits your criteria. But the thing is, even with my raggedy ride and my embarrassment, I was going to keep on campaigning, and I kept campaigning, and I did get dissed a couple of more times. Women would see my ride, not want to fuck with me. Sometimes I go to women's cribs, I would park that damn car 4 or 5 blocks down the street. I would hide my car. Not because I was ashamed, I was a little embarrassed. I loved my ride, it got me to point A to point B. But then what I started doing, I started to diversify my campaign. I started campaigning with females who didn't live in the immediate inner part of LA, like the South Centrals and the Inglewoods. I had to stay away from those chicks. I had to go out to places like the Valley or go to suburban areas, Santa Monica, Venice, and get at girls who don't really have that I need to come up mentality. So I had to change my strategy up in that work. When I started getting at girls who were in the outskirts of LA, the game worked out a little better for me, because the girls, they're used to having fly shit themselves, so there's not a desperation to quote unquote come up as there is with a girl who lives in Inglewood or Long Beach or Compton or Carson or some shit like that. So then I started to meet another criteria of women. So I met this one young lady who was a dime, a girl named Moni, that I started dating. I dated her for a couple of months. Now, Moni was fine as hell, and she accepted me and my raggedy ass ride. And Moni was bad. Moni was a fly, little slim, brown-skinned chick, beautiful face with a big-ass bubble booty. Big ass. This was before all the hydrogel shit. She had a real nice ass on her. And Moni was cool. And the thing is, Moni was one of those fly chicks who knew she was fly. See, there's the thing. You seen dudes out with chicks who are real fly, and the dude is real raggedy? Because there are a lot of fly women out there who don't know how fly they are. There's a lot of women out there that are real cute, that are real fly, but they don't really know how fly they are. In their mind, they think they look funny. They think that their nose is too big or something. But they're fine as hell, and they got a inferiority complex about how they look. So they date raggedy niggas. Because we've been out somewhere and we seen a chick with a dusty nigga, like at a bus stop or somewhere. You're like, what the fuck is she doing with him? And I'm pretty sure that's what dudes were saying about me. Like, why are these dimes with this nigga in this fucking Escort? This ragged ass car, that chick can be getting with me. But the point is, Moni knew how fly she was. And she had her shit together, and she wasn't tripping. She liked my personality. And that's all that matters. That's all that mattered to her. And again, at the time, this was in the late 80s, early 90s, this chick had all types of celebrities and shit trying to get at her. I mean, I would be at her spot and all the niggas who was the shit back then was trying to get at her. I'd be at her house. She'd be like, hold on, Tariq, somebody's calling me. Hello? Like, look, Al B. Sure, I'm not interested. I don't want to talk to you, Al B. Sure. Goodbye. She would be having those phone calls. She'd be like, hold on. Hello? No, El DeBarge, I don't want to go on a date. Goodbye, El DeBarge. All the niggas who was the shit in the 80s was trying to get at this girl. She's like, hold on, Tariq. Somebody's calling me. Look, DJ Easy Rock, I don't know why Rob Bass gave you my number, but I'm just not interested. So everybody was trying to get at this broad, but she was a down-ass chick. She liked me. She liked my personality, and we worked it out. Raggedy car and all. Because I kept my standards high. Always keep your standards high and don't have any shame in your game. There was no shame in my game because I wasn't going to let any hood rat or any kind of broad shame me out of lowering my standards or shame me into lowering my standards. And that's what happens with a lot of you players out there. You guys get with girls or you have a negative experience and these females shame you or allow you to shame yourself into dating down, into having a negative view about yourself. And you can't get down like that. Because the thing is, in my situation, I had a 4 that score, but I'm like, shit, I'm going to be all right. So I never felt ashamed about it. I was a little embarrassed, but I said, look, I'm going to be rolling when I get my shit right. I just got to find myself. But I am going to be all right when I get my money right and when I get my hustle right. And that's what happened. I did. So the thing is, remember, embarrassment can be either self-caused or it can be caused by others. And usually that's what it is. And embarrassment is something, it's a perception of what others feel of you. Or you can walk down the street and trip or fall down a flight of stairs and you can be embarrassed by that. Like, hey, oh shit, everybody saw me fall down a flight of stairs. I'm embarrassed. But embarrassment is only temporary. Shame, again, is all about some type of guilt you feel. Some type of internalized guilt that you feel about yourself, some type of blame you've imposed upon yourself. Now, the thing is about guilt is not a bad thing. Because sometimes guilt is a monitor to let us know we're doing the wrong thing. Sometimes you are doing the wrong thing and you should feel a sense of guilt. Just like when I talked about earlier, that girl who accused a young man of rape, she came and confessed because I know that guilt was eating her ass up for all those years to have done something like that. Guilt is a motherfucker sometimes. Guilt eats at your conscience. Just like there's a rapper named G Dep who was on Puff Daddy's label on Bad Boy. And he had a record out, I think in the late 80s, not the late 80s, but when was that? G Dep had a record out in the early 2000s, something like that. But what he did, he went to the police station and confessed to a 20-year-old crime. He just went in there after 20 years and admitted to killing somebody 20 years earlier. The guilt just made this dude do that. The guilt was just eating this guy up, and he ended up getting 15 years. They done sent him to jail over this crime. He just walked in and confessed. So the thing is, guilt really, really fucks with you. And when you have guilt will cause you to sabotage certain things that happen to you. If you got something through hurting others or harming others, or got something from less than reputable ways, you will find a way to subconsciously sabotage that because you know deep down that you don't deserve that. So that's what guilt is. So sometimes guilt is a good thing. Guilt can be a bad thing. Guilt is a bad thing when it's based on something you have not done. You understand that? So if you step to a female and she's just not feeling your vibe, you haven't done anything wrong. You just haven't met somebody or met the person who you were compatible with at that moment. You were not compatible with that person. But do not feel guilty about none of that stuff. See, the thing is, you can brush off embarrassment, but that shame, it seeps through your pores. People can feel a person who's ashamed of themselves because it shows in your self-esteem. Shame has a very impactful force on your self-esteem. And that's the vibe that people can see when they interact with you. So you never want to have that energy. So do not internalize any kind of shame. Do not have any shame in your game when you're out here spitting. Remember that. When you're about to step to a female, look yourself in the mirror and say, there will be no shame in my game. That's been today's episode of the Mack Lessons Radio Show. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Tariq Nasheed. Again, I'm going to be off next week, so this will give you an opportunity to check out all the pay-per-view specials at MackLessons.com. Now, I will do a Ustream show this Sunday, so you stay tuned for that. I will holla. Peace.